the only score that matters is the one you give yourself. Philips beard trimmer with power adapt sensor adapts to you. Philips.
Well, we call it the Philips Trimmer presents ESPNcricinfo T20 timeout review show, but it's hardly a game of T20 cricket. I've got Brad Hodge and Wasim Jaffer with me on this rare occasion. They've not played as much of this format as I have, the 8 overs aside cricket. So let's first ask them what we can take away from a game like this. India have won it. Rohit Sharma has played a wonderful innings. This is something we can start with, Wasim. And India have leveled the series. How good was that Rohit innings?
I think that was the separator from India's perspective. If Rohit was the only one actually, who was hitting it really well. Otherwise, it looked like Australia came with a, straight plan that they want to bowl slow balls into the wicket, wide outside of stump, and not many other than Rohit, could hit those sixes. I mean, Australia hit 1 6 in the first 7 overs, and then Wade obviously hit three in the last over, and then Rohit hit 4 6s in the first 10 overs. So he was the only one who was, finding it easy. But I think that inning was the difference from India's point of view.
Yeah, funny little 16-over game. It's hard to get too detailed into analysis, Hodgie, but it looked like two guys were just smashing it in Matthew Wade first and then Rohit Sharma, and everyone else found it a bit tough.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? You see the hitting power of both sides, and as soon as you lose a wicket, it's difficult to come in and go straight from ball one. And what about the sublime skills of Rohit Sharma? Was unbelievable. Just the batting skills. One of the things that stood out to me is how still he was at the crease. And you could say the same thing about Matthew Wade as well. Two players in great form. And then some bowling efforts as well. Axar Patel was outstanding, and also Adam Zampa. So there's a lot to take away from both sides. And, hey, it's all set, one apiece.
Yeah. Do you sense, Hodgie, that although players tend to say these 8-over games, you don't really take them seriously and, it's for the crowd and whatnot. It seemed to be the sentiment in the game. But this could be a World Cup game. If there's a bit of rain in Australia that time of year, do players get serious about 7, 8, 9-over games these days?
Oh, absolutely, Raunak. Yeah, country versus country. It's on the line, no doubt about it. The tensions are high. The stakes are high, actually, building up to a World Cup. And each player's on show. There's spots up for grabs in both camps. And, there's also T10, tournaments around the show. What it was pretty cool to watch, I must admit. So, look, both sides are outstanding. And you can see by the skills that were on set tonight that they're going to be right up there, both these sides, for pressing for World Cup glory.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about Rohit Sharma and maybe throw in Axar Patel as well as we look at some of the top performers in this game. It's time for our Philips 10 on 10 performer of the day. All right, now Rohit's innings, we've already heard high praise from Wasim Jaffer and Brad Hodge, but Wasim, it was nice that it didn't look like any different from a normal Rohit Sharma innings, whether it was an 8-over game or whatnot. It just looked like Rohit Sharma at his best. It's so nice when Rohit Sharma actually gets to 45, 46 as against those teasing 20s or so that he's shown us in recent times, with the exception of that Sri Lanka game. India need this Rohit Sharma, don't they?
India definitely needs him. Yeah, I mean, he makes it six hitting look really, really easy. He's not as bulky as those West Indian players, but he hits it really sweet and hits it long way. And anything, if you pitch it short and around his body, he's got absolute class about him. And I think you put it absolutely right. Those 20 pretty 20 India would have lost this game. So I think it was important that he batted till the end and finished the game, and which he did.
Yeah, enjoy that he also toys with the field, Hodgie. We've often seen batters try to go one place, but no part of the field that you can actually bowl to Rohit Sharma when he's playing like this.
Both offside and onside, Raunak. Yeah, I've seen him at his best in IPL when he's torn a couple of attacks that I've played in the around the park. And I think one of the things which he's amazing at is picking up the length. Those pull shots that he's able to get around hip height are incredible. And as Wasim said, they travel, 90, 95 meters, which is rare for a player which doesn't look to be putting a lot into it. So the timing's impeccable. He's a glorious player to watch on the eye. And, his record in white ball cricket is just insane across IPL, playing for India both in T20s and one-day internationals. So you definitely need him firing, no doubt about it. No, he's more dangerous when he's in an aggressive mindset as well. Like he just tears attacks apart. I haven't seen Josh Hazlewood being dealt that sort of hand for a long, long time. That not to get off the mark. First ball was just extraordinary.
All right, that's very good from Rohit Sharma, and I hope it keeps coming. It levels the series. Quick word on Akshar Patel, Wasim. This series may go away, but Akshar, who didn't get the chance in the end, is making the most of his opportunities. At least Akshar Patel, the bowler, who's had a big say again today.
I think so. I think India probably won't miss Ravindra Jadeja, the bowler, and I think going forward, I think India found somebody to bowl in the power play. You can squeeze in easily 1 or 2 overs from him, and he attacks the stump. Which makes it hard. Anything loose from a batter at that point, he'll get you wickets. And right-hander, especially, I think he bowls those tough lengths where it's hard to rotate the strike, and when the field is out, you got to take a lot of risks. So he's always spot on, and I think India found a pretty good replacement for Ravindra Jadeja.
Impressions tend to be whether Akshar will be as effective as a bowler Hodge in Australia. He's never played a T20 international there. Would you have him in your 11?
First pick at the moment, Raunak for sure. I mean, I'll be honest, if you can actually bowl...
You want to take a moment to think about that. You're telling me first pick, really, that Indian team.
Well, probably not first pick, but at the moment...
first
spinner. Yeah, first pick spinner from what I can see.
Sure.
And the other thing is in Australia, what you've got is actually probably another 20 metres of acreage as well to hit a six off Axar. And I was discussing with Shane Watson just earlier about what makes him so great. And he said he's actually really difficult to hit for sixes. And it must be the length. And he said often you beat him on the inside, which is what Wasim was saying. He attacks the stumps. And more importantly, his lengths are actually really good. He doesn't allow you to get too many step hits. Left-handers, he's slightly more vulnerable, like any left-arm orthodox, of course. But, yeah, he's one that can bowl in the power play and give a lot more variations to the attack. I think bowling spin in the power play in Australia is actually, really useful, no doubt.
Yeah, Wasim, I know it's 2 games because he didn't play the Asia Cup. Would you agree with Hodge? He's making himself India's first choice spinner in T20, as you already said after the last game that you think Bishnoi should get a few games ahead of Chahal. But if he's not part of the plan and Akshar Patel is, would you call Akshar India's first choice spinner in T20Is?
I think so, because he comes into that all-rounder category. Like I said before, Hardik and Ravindra Jadeja gives you that balance. And now that Ravindra Jadeja is not there, Akshar is like for like swap. And if he's bowling like that, and the teams, other than subcontinent teams, will always like the pace on the ball. So, when Akshar can bowl in the power play, taking that pace off, he's always going to come in handy. Especially like Hodge said, Australian grounds are going to be big. So, those 10, 15 yards or 20 yards is going to help him. So he's definitely number one. I'm pretty keen to, in probably the next series to have a look at Bishnoi, or I don't know. I keep telling you about Kuldeep Yadav as well, but I don't think he's in the scheme. But at least Bishnoi in the next series is what I'm looking to, see.
Yeah. These days, the players keep hopping between the first team and conditioning, physical conditioning, mental conditioning at the NCA. They're well taken care of ahead of the big World Cup. But there's a series on the line. So let's look ahead to the third T20I on Philips Trimmer Presents ESPNcricinfo T20 Timeout. Brad Hodge, Wasim Jaffer. I don't know whether, if the game was a 20-over game, whether we would have seen some of those selections. Look like captains mentioned that they made some calls based on an 8-over game. What boxes would Australia like ticked, Hodge, as they approach a decider here? Would you like to see Josh English get a game? What are the other sort of areas that you think Australia need to cover looking ahead to this one?
Well, I mean, I don't think they'll play 2 spinners in Australia, but you can certainly maybe consider bringing in Ashton Agar as well, given the fact that Zamp has been so successful. And the left-arm orthodox we've seen is a good match-up to the right-handers with access to the Australian top order. And it actually could play out in the same fashion again against the Indian right-handers, even though they're probably better players of spin. But, I mean, economically, the spinners in T20 cricket are well ahead of the quicks. So there is an opportunity. He's a good all-rounder. Hasn't played for a bit, though. That's a bit of an issue. But it might be worthwhile. It probably might spin a little bit down in Hyderabad as well. So that might be something which we consider. What I did like was Pat Cummins and the variations that he showed in this game. That was a good adaptation from last game, and I thought he bowled exceptionally well. So lots of changes of pace from this range. You'll see. Josh Inglis is a good T20 play. Might come back in, lengthen the batting a little bit, but I think there's enough batting there. We still haven't seen Maxwell fire or the best of Tim David yet. We got, Matty Wade's in dynamite form, so maybe you don't need that extra length of batting with Josh Inglis in there.
Another game for Nathan Ellis as well, Hodge, before I move to Wasim. Would you bring him in?
Sorry, who was that?
Yeah, Nathan Ellis, one more game then? Would you bring him in?
Yeah. I think he's slightly injured though, Raunak. That's the issue.
Yeah, that's
I think they'll go more cautious with Nathan Ellis. He showed in the first game, his skills and his potential. If he's fit, then he'll be straight back in. But I just got the feeling with a short turnaround, he might just miss out.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, there's some doubt on injury concerns for Ellis as well as Deepak Hooda wasn't seen training today. So there are a couple of players we're not quite sure of their fitness. But Wasim, looking at this one, they played Rishabh Pant just for the 8-over game. You think would they go back to the balance that they've otherwise had, or are you tempted to see a few more things before the series ends?
I think I'll be a little bit worried with the way Harshal bowled in the death. 2 back-to-back games where he struggled. I would probably will bring in Arshdeep Singh in for Rishabh Pant and let Bumrah and Arshdeep bowl in the death. And you can, finish.
Arshdeep is part of the conditioning at the NCA, not part of this series. Funny enough, Deepak Chahar is available, and Umesh Yadav and Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. Would you give Deepak Chahar a game? Who doesn't seem to be getting a lot of game time, even though he's one of the World Cup reserves?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure about. Again, that causes a worry about who bowls in the death. You don't see Deepak Chahar bowl in the death. He's best suited to bowl probably 2 or 3 overs in the power play. So I think they'll probably stick with Bhuvi. I don't know, or maybe give Deepak Chahar a game and bowl him before 15th or 16th over, and again we'll see Bumrah and Harshal bowl. But Harshal, I think, needs to step up his death bowling because 2 back-to-back pretty ordinary overs. But I think it's good enough. He's got a lot of variation, but he just need to be a little bit better than what he's.
All right. We pretty much leave it there, and we pick up the chat at the end of the T20I, the third and final one, with Brad Hodge and Wasim Jaffer. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Hopefully we'll get 40 overs of cricket. You still get paid the same amount. So thank you very much to both of you. We will hear from you on Philips Trimmer Presents ESPNcricinfo T20 Timeout at the end of the Hyderabad T20I. So do join us then.
The only score that matters is the one you give yourself. Philips Beard Trimmer with Power Adapt Sensor adapts to you. Philips.